Today we're jumping into Subaru's new flagship sedan, the 2025 WRX TS Spec B, to see whether the headline upgrades finally make the VB generation shine. Most performance fans still think of the WRX as the affordable all-weather hero that dominates windy roads from factory. But reality hasn't always matched the memory. Last year's RS model impressed us, but its fixed dampers and modest punch kinda left us wanting more. Subaru says the TS Spec B fixes those missed opportunities, and that's something that we'll put to the test today. Why should you trust us? Well, back in 2023, we spent months shaking down our own giveaway car, a 2008 EJ207 WRX STI hatch. So as a result, we know exactly what a proper JDM WRX should feel like. That time spent behind the wheel, plus our experience with the 2024 model, gives us the perfect baseline to judge every change of this year's model. So all that said, we'll cover styling tweaks, cabin updates, the 6-speed transmission, the new active dampers, Brembo brakes, and why this chassis sort of outclasses the engine now. So let's get into it. So first impressions, I do feel like the TS Spec B looks pretty tough. It looks sharp and definitely stands out with the big wing. It sits on 19-inch alloy wheels, and I feel like they knew the brake dust would be a problem, so they colored them in a dark gray satin finish, which I can appreciate. But let's be real, I feel like they really tried to sneak in a few too many STI badges for my liking, and to be blunt, it's not a full WRX STI. For some diehard fans, that'd be a bit of a tease. This year, we still have the very obvious black trim, diffuser and side skirts. We've seen a lot of aftermarket parts come out to address this, but that shouldn't be the only solution, especially if you consider the price point. Buyers are kind of opting for the darker colors to combat this because the black trim looks less noticeable on them. One thing that does stand out is this year's aero package. Some notable parts are the classic bonnet scoop, the side vents that cool the brakes, fun fact the rear arch vents are still fake, and the big wing, which really adds a more aggressive look. Hop inside and the Recaro Ultra Suede bucket seats clamp you in place with adjustability. Might be just me, but I feel like the steering wheel is a touch too far away. Having a more adjustable steering wheel would be nice considering the price point. The portrait screen is the same massive tablet as last year, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. The only thing worth mentioning is that there are times that the screen isn't very responsive. A new 12.3-inch digital cluster modernizes the dash. The sound system pumps through 10 speakers, ambient lights add a bit more of a modern feel, and the boot space stays at 411 litres. The rear seat backs still drop for your gear or for a second set of track tyres if that's what you're after. Under the bonnet lives the same FA24F turbo boxer engine with 202 kilowatts, 350 Newton meters. Honest numbers, but anyone expecting an STI punch will be left wanting more. The 6-speed manual still feels like Subaru's old 5-speed with an added gear on it just for cruising on the highway. The shifter feels satisfyingly notchy, and the clutch weight is just right, but don't expect to have a sore neck at the end of the day. So here's the good news. The adaptive dampers are the main feature of this car and saving grace for this model. Comfort mode is chill and kind of just what you want for the daily commute. And then when you switch to Sport Plus, which I often find myself turning on as soon as I get in, the suspension comes alive. Everything stiffens up and the chassis really becomes responsive. It switches between all these settings really quickly from a handy button on the steering wheel, and it's an impressive feature to have. Stiffer springs and Bridgestone Potenza tyres deliver grip you'd usually find on a tuner car. If you push it, it will push back, and that's kind of what you expect for a WRX. The active torque vectoring tidies up the exits, and the Brembo 6 pots up front and 4 pots in the rear brings it all to a confident stop. It comes with a 5-year unlimited K warranty, and the first 5 services are capped every 15,000 kilometers. We've averaged high 9s to low 10s per 100 on a mix of peak hour and spirited driving. Accurate to what Subaru claims, and modest for having Sports Plus on most of the time. The drive-away figure hovers just above 67K, which is a decent amount of money when you remember that the engine hasn't changed since last year. So what's to love? The chassis is phenomenal, adaptive dampers, sticky tires, Brembos are all perfect for a daily driver. The cabin's comfier, the tech is solid, although not perfect, and the styling, plastic arches and fake vents aside, finally looks purposeful. The STI badges feels like Subaru dangling a carrot just out of reach, a promise of performance they never quite delivered on, and the power figure hasn't budged while the price has. If you're chasing Subaru's best handling road-going WRX since the STI golden days, and you can live without the power of a real STI badge, the TS Spec B is an easy yes. Just budget for a tune or be happy hunting corners, not straights or drag tines. This wraps up our in-depth look at the new WRX STI Spec B. Let us know in the comments whether you'd colour match the trim or leave it stock. And be sure to read our full review over on Exhaust Notes Australia. I'm AJ Clark, this is Exhaust Notes Australia, and we'll see you in the next one.